From the hackers that could have destroyed Geometry Dash to revolutionizing mechanics that changed the game forever, these are things only old Geometry Dash players know. If you played Geometry Dash back in the day, you probably remember how some players would hate on levels just because they were too hard. I mean seriously, creators trying to push the difficulty got so much backlash, especially when the impossible frame perfect level started popping up. But looking back now, those players had no idea what was coming next. Back in the day, if you were scrolling through the comment section, you probably couldn't escape the weirdest trend ever. Tap my name. I mean, it was everywhere. And apparently, it was some attempt for players to promote their levels or profile. But whatever the reason, it was so annoying. You couldn't even see a single normal comment without tripping over a dozen of these at least. Remember the days before the demon list? OG players know exactly what I'm talking about. No hate, no drama, just pure chill. Back then, finding the hardest levels wasn't centralized. There was pointer crate to show tough levels, or the true OG method, watching YouTubers to discover demons. However then, the demon list arrived, and suddenly, demons started emerging everywhere, literally. Honestly, I think it's time we get an angel list to balance things out. Every player remembers the nostalgia of those classic 1.0 levels. The simple designs, the hype when a new level would drop, and the amazement over how cool it looked back then. And some of these players are even coming back to recreate these iconic styles. While some players love the nostalgic feeling of playing it, well, new ones don't seem as impressed and literally dislike it. If I was an OG player,
I would probably find their IP address.
I bet you didn't know that gravity orbs weren't always a thing in the game. Before the 2.0 update, there was no way to switch your gravity with orbs. But then in August 2015, everything changed with an update that introduced this amazing mechanic. And well, I'm certain that veterans remember it to this day. Zenthic is easily one of the most respected creators in all of Geometry Dash. If you've ever played levels like Blue Zenith or Zenith, you already know the insane creativity this creator has. His work didn't just blow minds, but also inspired countless other levels too. However, back in the day, true OG players will remember when he held the most creator point. And let's be real, it was well deserved. Zenthic would spend hours perfecting tiny details most of us wouldn't even notice, and that makes him a true Geometry Dash legend. Back before version 2.2, advanced animations weren't even a thing. There were no fancy keyframes or advanced tools to make your levels pop. But old school creators remember a genius discovery, the 4-frame animation technique. They figured out how to manipulate color channels and object properties to create smooth advanced effects that pushed the game's limitations. And honestly, these animations were super impressive, especially for how simple the tools were back then. Speaking of pushing Geometry Dash's engine to the limits, there was this genius trick where creators would use black color with blending enabled to make objects completely invisible. This was possible because black color in the RGB spectrum makes that color invisible with blending on. But if you were around back in the day, you'll remember how huge this was. It led to the creation of illusion levels, trolling maps, and even custom effects that seemed impossible to make at the time. Honestly, the creativity of Geometry Dash players made it feel like their average IQ was 200. Oh wait, never mind. Everyone knows the most useless feature in Geometry Dash, map packs. OG players especially know this because, well, even back in the early updates, they weren't doing any better. Seriously, having a few additional map packs to play didn't give much fun to players, and nobody really cared about them. The conclusion for map packs, well, they just suck. You obviously know what jump orbs are. Well, it turns out they're not actually called jump orbs. I mean, they're called jump ring. OG players probably already knew this, along with the fact that they didn't always have the cool glow effect that we now see today. Yeah, those rings definitely had a glow up. Did you know that there was a time where we didn't even have the wave game mode? Crazy, right? The wave was introduced in update 1.9, also known as the golden update, and it completely changed the game forever. Before the wave, we didn't have those insane tryhard levels that push your skills to the absolute max. But as soon as the wave dropped, we started seeing some of the hardest, most impossible levels ever made. This update basically kicked off the tryhard era of the game. Love it or hate it, the wave was a revolutionary addition from Ruptop. Back in the OG days of Geometry Dash, trails were pretty simple. You only had two options, the stock trail or the legendary rainbow trail. But here's the catch, to unlock the rainbow trail, you had to collect 50 diamond points, which wasn't exactly easy back then as you had to complete many levels in order to get diamonds. However, if you managed to get it though, you were basically a certified pro. Showing off that rainbow trail was the ultimate flex at the time, and a great way to let your friends know that you were leagues ahead of everybody else. Remember the days when Everyplay was the go-to platform for sharing Geometry Dash progress videos? It was like like a little hub for players to show off their skills and share their milestones. But then in 2018, it unfortunately got shut down, and with it, a ton of nostalgic memories disappeared forever. RIP Everyday, we will miss you. Back in the early days of Geometry Dash, old school players might remember the father of Geometry Dash hack, MGhostIH. I mean, he was the first to create hack tools for the game, sparking tons of drama within the community. Whether you love him or hate it, you can't deny that he was a controversial figure. But here's the twist. Some argue that he also contributed to the game's evolution. Not only did he influence mods and level creation, but he even helped develop Pointer Crate. In case you didn't know, Pointer Crate is a website that tracks player stats and levels, kind of like the Demon List. So while MGhostIH might have been a rule breaker to say the least, his impact on the game is still a hot topic among all fans. Speaking of hacks, OG Geometry Dash players might remember the infamous player Wargack. This guy made a name for himself by hacking some of the most famous levels at the time. He'd post videos of himself absolutely destroying demon levels, making it look ridiculously easy and leaving players totally confused. But of course, he couldn't keep the secret forever, and he eventually got exposed. Even so, Wargack's legacy lives on as one of the first big hackers in Geometry Dash history. Did you ever notice a change in Orb's animation? Well, over time, there have been many updates in Geometry Dash, and one of them was actually the change in animation of many orbs. Even the Jump Ringer orb, however you call it, it's been changed. And it looks cool, but I definitely miss the OG vibe. OG players will remember when color achievements were actually square. Completing a quest to unlock a new color for your icon gave you a square notification, and not the circles that we all know and love today. And honestly, it made sense, since the color section menu is literally made of squares too. I'm not too sure why RobTop decided to change it, but it's definitely something that only true OGs will remember. Back in the day, having a 144Hz monitor essentially made players think you're cheating. Sounds crazy, right? I mean, at the time, most screens were capped at 60Hz, meaning they could only refresh 60 times per second, basically limiting how much frames per second you could actually see. But if you had a 144Hz monitor, it let you see smoother motion and react way faster than other players. Some players even claim to give you an unfair advantage, but in reality, those players had thicker wallets. Back in 2014, Geometry Dash players were hyped about one of the best levels ever created, the invention of collabs. The level Collaboration by Sari was the first level that was made with groups of people, including Dorabe, Sari, and Jack. This idea let top creators team up to build levels together, combining their unique styles into something truly amazing. Not only did it create some of the most memorable levels, but it also let the community's creativity shine through. This idea is still displayed in the game to this day, with levels like Limbo and the Yandere being some of the most impressive levels to this day. And let's be honest, even though 2.2 levels are cool, the innovations made in older updates are just so much more impressive. Remember Flappy Bird? Besides Geometry Dash players remembering it as a game, there was also a trend where players created Flappy Bird-like levels, and it was everywhere, especially in 1.8. Almost every level that was shown on the search was a Flappy Bird level. These levels were essentially played using a UFO and jumping through these pipe-like obstacles, just like the actual game Flappy Bird. This literally would have mixed rage from both games into one, essentially making players throw their phones into a lake. Did you know that before the 1.6 update, you didn't actually have to worry about coins? That's right, and OG players know that feeling. However, in January 2014, the update introduced 3 secret coins hidden in each level. Collecting them didn't just boost your stats, but also helped unlock new levels and icons. But still, they can make you rage too. Stupid coins! Old players know RobTop was almost terminated because of a bribe. Back in the day, Geometry Dash had an offer where players could get a free icon just for rating the game. Sounds like a cool deal, right? Well, Google didn't think so. They saw it as RobTop bribing players to boost the game's rating, and he was literally forced to remove the feature. No free icons, no sneaky ratings, just a big nope from Google. People were traumatized because of this event. Back in the day, a popular Geometry Dash creator named Triaxis had the whole community talking. Like most GD creators, she uploaded videos of herself completing levels, earning tons of respect from fans. But then one day, she dropped a really unsettling video where she hinted at some dark plans to hurt herself. Fans in the entire GD community were absolutely terrified, flooding her with messages and begging her to not go through with it. Eventually, the situation got fully resolved, but for a while, it left everyone feeling really uncomfortable. And there you have it, 23 things only old GD players know. Make sure to subscribe and check out the video on the screen right now.